Does it say where? It goes somewhere. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Please rise for the flag for tonight's town board meeting. Start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Councilmember Daniela?
Present.
Councilmember Ispan?
Present.
Supervisor Elbro?
Present.
Councilmember Foreman?
Here.
Councilmember Rye?
Here. Here. Don't answer for me.
Sir. Need a pen, too. Got a pen?
That was a joke.
I want to adopt the agenda, but with one change, and it's on the consent for the solar energy. What was it again, Carmen? Trinity Solar. We added on the resolution of some village property, some village streets. Can we just take that off and just do it for the town?
Certainly.
So I'd like to make a motion to change that item in the consent agenda to strike the village streets. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Everybody okay with the rest of the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up is acceptance of minutes. We got the number one, the town board regular meeting, April 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. I'll make a motion to accept those. Can I get a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Next one will be April 20th. Can I have a second? I present that as a motion. Can I have a second? Daniele, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Where are we at there? Mr. Priano, you here? Oh, there they are. Okay. We got another Eagle Scout proclamation. You guys okay with me presenting them right now?
Sure.
All right. Gentlemen, stand up. Come on over here. How are you? So the town board is going to read this proclamation to you. Proclamation recognizing Eagle Scout Chris Briano. Whereas Chris Briano is a Fishkill resident and Boy Scout with the Boy Scouts of America Troop 145. Whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is the highest rank within the Boy Scouts of America. And whereas in order to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout, a candidate must demonstrate leadership, initiative, and by designing and completing a service project for the community. And whereas to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout, Chris Briano did design and complete a project on Osborne Hill Road in the town of Fishkill. And whereas this project involved designing and constructing a masonry shelter structure surrounding to protect a historical mile marker located on Osborne Hill Road. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America Lodge of a review determined that this project meets all the requirements and found Chris Brown deserving of the rank of Eagle Scout. And at the Eagle Court of Honor ceremony on May 15, 2022, awarded Chris the rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas the town of Fishkill supports the youth of the Boy Scouts of America, and whereas the town board of the town of Fishkill wishes to recognize Fishkill Boy Scouts who achieve the rank of Eagle Scout and demonstrate leadership and dedication to the community, set an example to the community, and for the future of Boy Scouts will be inspired by their accomplishments. And whereas Chris Briano deserves recognition by a young person who possesses leadership skills, engagement in his community, and determination to make a positive difference. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill does hereby proclaim its recognition of Fishkill resident and Boy Scout Chris Briano and extends its congratulations on achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. And be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill shall present a copy of this proclamation to Eagle Scout Chris Briano at the May 18, 2022 town board meeting, or as soon after possible, to the spirit of congratulations and recognition by order of the town board of the town of Fishkill on this 18th day of May 2022. This young man did a pretty cool task. It was before Route 9, as you see it today. Route 9 went through Osborne Hill Road, and there was an old mile marker, and this young man restored it, built a masonry roof on it, and he's going to preserve it, and it's going to be there probably for good forever, probably. So this is one of my favorite projects of the Boy Scouts. So let me give this to you, and we'll take a picture, and then the whole board and your family will take a picture of this too.
Good job. Where's Greg? I know. Have to get Doug to take pictures. We're going to be... Mom! Mom's gonna be here. Doug, don't get me, all right?
We gotta get our guys in back.
Oh, come on. Come on, Doug. Got him. Carmine likes his picture too.
Use their heads.
I'm a good fit.
That's one of my favorite things.
Oh, yeah.
Next up will be a public hearing for the unsafe property located at 450 Van Wyck Lake Road. I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Daniele, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we continue this public hearing a couple times, and I really want to close it and move on it. So anybody that wants to speak on this public hearing has the opportunity to speak about it now. Anybody want to speak? Nothing? Come on.
Go ahead. Or you have to get to the mic, sir. Can you give the clerk your name, please?
Donald Jenkins. And I want to thank you all for taking the time and the effort to look at this blight that has been there for 10 years. And thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anybody else wishes to speak? Okay, I'll make I can close this now, right? And then we
Yes,
can move
sir.
forward?
Yes, you may close it, and if it would be appropriate at this point of the agenda, you can direct that a resolution be prepared for next month's meeting, indicating whatever relief would be appropriate according to the building inspector.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, and then I'll prepare a resolution for the next meeting. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
So present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that public hearing is done, and we'll move on that project. Next up is a public hearing, local law 2022, to create a police commission. We got a draft, and we're going to continue this one, so if anybody wants to speak, they can speak now also. Anybody wishes to speak about the police commission? Yes, I apologize. Make a motion to open up the next
Second.
public hearing. Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wishes to speak about this one? And we're going to continue this to the next meeting. Okay. So I'll make a motion to continue this to the next town board meeting, which is what, Becky?
One.
The first? Okay, good. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next one is a public hearing to amend the Town Code, Chapter 23, Article 2, entitled Town Clerk Appointed as Receiver of Taxes and Assessments. I'll make a motion to open that public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Rye, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would anybody like to speak about this public hearing? So Becky, can you just give the audience just what we're doing? Speak into the mic.
Mike.
Yeah. You can speak there.
There, a few years ago, the prior administration, I think it was 2012, they combined the town clerk and receiver of taxes position. And with the increase of population and just, it's become so overwhelming that this board is going to re-separate that and have it be two separate departments as it should be and was throughout history. We're the only town of our size that has a combined one person doing the job of two full-time people with only one staff member. So the board, we looked at all the statistics and the figures and stuff, and they're going to re-separate that. And I'll remain, someone else will be the appointed by the board receiver of taxes, how it used to be, and I'll remain as like a deputy tax receiver to help out since I already know the job. And by law, you have to have that title in order to touch any tax money. So I'll stay in that position, but I'm going to remain primarily your town clerk.
Okay. Anybody wish to speak about this? Any board members? Okay. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's closed. It's done. Next up will be presentation number 1, Town County Drug Crisis Presentation. I believe the two councilmen on my left set this up, so I'll let you guys take the lead on this.
We are going to be at the mic introducing our guest today.
Go on, John.
My name is Brian Rye. I'm on the town board. One of the things that hurts our community and hurts our nation is the drug crisis. I came up with an idea that we just really needed to bring some emphasis to that crisis in a non-judgmental way to inform our community what's going on in our town and how we're battling the drug crisis, what's going on at the county level, and how we are battling that crisis. And then again, then at the end, we are going to talk about treatment and ways to get out. And again, it's just very informative. One of the things that I've learned since researching this and bringing great talent together, Detective Joe Chorba from the town of Fishkill PD is going to be presenting. Anthony with the Beacon Volunteer Ambulance is going to be presenting. Detective Sergeant Adam Harris from Dutchess County Sheriff's will be presenting along with Detective James Inkler. Then, of course, we have the distinct privilege of having Jean Marie Nyber, Deputy Commissioner, Director of Community Services, also presenting. Before we get started with the presentation, we have a couple of things to do, one of which is I want to introduce the Herring Foundation. Sharon Herring, if she will come up. Everywhere, on every street, there is a tragedy, there is a connection to this crisis. The Herrings experienced this with their grandson passing away from a drug overdose a number of years ago. They did not retreat. They started the Herring Foundation, and a display tonight is the Lovelock Gate that they have out on their property, which I'm going to have Sharon, talk about that a little bit. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Brian, for bringing attention to this. It is a very important thing that is kept in the closet. Anybody that has a child or a loved one, it's a stigma, it's an embarrassment, it's confusing, you don't know how to handle it. So Brian, I thank you for bringing this to the forefront. We started this foundation, the Matt Herring Foundation, to stop the stigma of addiction because that's what my grandson and his immediate family lived with. When we started it, we had family support groups in our home weekly, and people came, and they were going through the same thing that we were. they were embarrassed, ashamed, and they didn't know how to handle it. When we had the first memorial walk, we designed this, somebody on the foundation came up with this idea. My husband put this, a lovelock gate together like the one in France for the soldiers that were out to war, and we brought it up there. And each one of those locks is put there by a family member who have lost somebody to an overdose, or they're struggling, their family member is struggling, and they're praying that they're going to survive. There are over 200 locks on that. Since we started that, there is now a lovelock gate in Walden. A girl that's in recovery has started one, and the community has supported her, and they've made a park out of it. And supposedly it's beautiful. And now Mental Health Association and Mental Health America is building one up by the Gold's Gym in Poughkeepsie. So imitation is the best form of flattery. We are flattered that they support the idea. We have people that visit this Lovelock Gate in Fishkill on a weekly basis. This is traveling. So we take this to the Matt Herring overdose walk in August, and when it's gone, people complain that it's missing. They do miss it, they do visit it. It's sad that it's needed, but I hope everybody sees the need to help support the people that are going to come up and talk. Now, in August, the Matt Herring Foundation, August 13th, is having an overdose awareness memorial walk in the walkway on the Highland side, and we have great speakers, and a lot of people go. The first year we had it, we had 1,000 people. It's very well attended, so hopefully it'll be a beautiful day, and I hope you'll come and support everybody that's there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Herring.
Thank you so much, Sheryl. Really appreciate that. My omission, of course, is we have County Legislator Doug McCool and also Yvette Valdez-Smith. I asked them both to participate because it's just important. They are going to be important to help spread the word on treatments that are out there. And Doug, I'd like for you to have a few remarks, please.
Thank you, Councilman Ryan. Again, thank you to Councilman Ryan, Councilman Foreman, for taking the lead on what is a most crucial subject in the town of Fishkill and Dutchess County. I can tell you that at the county level, the county legislature is committed to doing everything that we can to help with this epidemic. And you will hear from Director Jean Marie Nyber, who will give you lots of details about everything that's been happening. Most recently, including last year, we approved the purchase of a mobile clinic to reach certain parts of the county that don't have such easy access to that type of facility. And, you know, for those of you that don't know what my day job is, I will tell you that my family owns the McCool Funeral Home in Fishkill and Hopewell Junction. Excuse me. This is something that we never want to see. We never want to help these families that walk in who have lost kids, grandkids, parents, grandparents. We all think about when we were kids, everyone imagined having some kind of monster under the bed or a monster in the closet. And then we get a little older, and most of us realize that we don't have a monster under the bed or a monster hiding in our closet. But the truth is, we all have this enormous beast living in our hometown in Dutchess County. And it doesn't care where you live, and it doesn't care how much you make, doesn't care how educated you are. It really doesn't care about your ethnicity, your religion, your politics, your daily Wordle score. No one is safe from this. This affects families of all kinds, our neighbors, our friends, And Mrs. Herring, used the word closet, and that is something that I think they deserve great credit for, bringing this sort of thing out into the open to let families know it's okay to talk about this, it's okay to talk to your kids about it, and it's crucial to talk to your kids about it, because this can happen to anyone or everyone. And I can tell you that in my experience as a funeral director, like I said when I first walked up here, there's nothing worse than helping a family who have lost someone, especially when it's someone younger, get through that grieving process, because it never ends. And it's something that, with enough resources and enough information, and God willing, eventually we'll get to that point in our society where people will know more and will have learned from their mistakes or what they could have done, but it's something that the more we talk about, the more open we are about it, and the more that we communicate with each other, but most especially with our families and our kids, to let them know that there is a monster under the bed and there is something you can do to defeat it. So I look forward to this presentation, and thank you for having me, okay?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Doug. Now, quickly, just going into our presentation on local concerns, Detective Joe Chorba, please. Town of Fishkill PD.
So thank you for being here to hear about, what we're talking about. My name is Joe Chorba. I'm a detective with the Town of Fishkill. I have 25 years experience as a police officer. I started in city of Newburgh in 1996, and I'm here now in Fishkill. In Newburgh, I was assigned to the canine unit and had a dual-purpose dog, which is a patrol and a narcotics dog. Up close and personal, I became with the enforcement of dealing with narcotic sales and the effects that it has. I then went to the city or town of Poughkeepsie, where I was another canine handler there, same dual-purpose dog, assigned to SWAT team as well. And again, in those roles, continued to enforce the drug enforcement and the effects that narcotic sales has on individuals and families, and oftentimes it's deadly. And it becomes a tough road to see every day dealing with it. As a detective, I became a juvenile detective, and then I would deal with juveniles and children who were having problems at home. Oftentimes, those problems were exacerbated by their own drug use and drug use of family members, which made dealing with them very difficult. Also, as a detective, I moved to the Dutchess County Drug Task Force, where over 3.5 years, I helped, with the team of individuals that I work with that are excellent, to help stop the flow of the drugs that became very difficult to deal with, because that was the rise of the heroin time and the OxyContin, epidemic that happened around that time when I was there. And there would be devastating effects of the individuals that we would be dealing with. And at that time, I was a parent, I still am, but I have young children at the time. So when these arrests were made, especially when they were younger, I would often ask them, I said, how did it become that you were here with me in a jail cell and you're 18 years old? How did it get to be that, the Dutchess County Drug Task Force is doing these things, and we're finding these individuals, and oftentimes they would tell me that it was their friend or their boyfriend or girlfriend that got them there. And then I would ask, well, where are they now? And more oftentimes than not, they were in prison or they were dead. And, and that hurt me, that scared me. I knew we were doing the job we needed to do, but it worried me because I knew my daughters were going to be growing up in this. So, as a police officer dealing with it, it hits you home. I live here, I grew up here, this is where I'm at. And I retired, I got a job here in Fishkill, which brings us to here now in Fishkill. So I was tasked with reviewing our stats just in the town of Fishkill. So from January 1st, 2020 to May 17, 2022, so about a year and a half, the town of Fishkill had 63 overdoses. 8 of those were fatal. There were 23 Narcan uses that saved individuals during the actual overdose. And 10 of them were inside of our area hotels. A little bit further, more of a breakdown within the overdose areas. Not all of them were related to fentanyl and heroin, but I felt it was important to bring this other information to you because 6 of them were like prescription pill overdoses. 1 was huffing, where they, use aerosol can, spray cleaner. PCP were 2. 1 was mushroom. 7 were marijuana, which I'll touch on in a second. 4 were unknowns, and then 8 of them, of the 23, were under 20 years old. 41 were males. The average age was 33. 21 of them were females. The average age was 36. 1 was actually a baby, 9 months old, got a hold of Suboxone. Narcan saved the baby. The youngest one was 15 of the males. The youngest one of the females, 17. 2020, there were 93,000 overdose deaths in the United States. I'm sure Jean Marie or somebody else will talk about some other stats, but as a point of note, 2021, 107,000. That's 1 every 5 minutes, which means during the time that I've just spoke, somebody just passed away from a drug overdose. So I hope that helped to put into perspective what we here in law enforcement and, especially in the town of Fishkill is dealing with.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I thank you, Detective Chorba. Just drives it home. We had on the itinerary, Deborah Cortez, VP Public Relations, Recruitment and Retention at the Beacon Volunteer Ambulance Corps. She is working also in a clinic and overwhelmed with shortages today, and so she can't get out of work. And I took actually a Narcan course with her, and with Anthony, also works with her at Beacon Volunteer Ambulance Corp, and he is going to talk to us about what it's like to enter the house. Thank you, buddy.
Well, Anthony Tseng, I'm the Assistant Chief of the Beacon Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Thank you for having me. There's a lot of good speakers before me, so I won't try to repeat everything, but I do recognize that the stigma is what's kind of hiding the problem. Let me just speak a little bit about what we see on scene. That's not it.
I can't afford you. Don't give up the things you love. State Farm has rates that beat.
Okay.
Free advertisement.
So we can go to a 43-year-old male drunk on the staircase, arrive there, person's not with it, doesn't know how they got there, pinpoint pupils indicating of an opioid intake, right? May not be enough to knock them out, but they're now impaired. We can arrive to a 65-year-old female in bed who's taking Oxycontin as a regular regimen, and her husband cannot wake up. She is breathing, so Narcan can be administered, and intranasally will be absorbed through her lungs. We can arrive to a 34-year-old male who was with friends doing recreational activities and will pass out. And everybody thinks it's funny until they figure out that he's really passed out, and we get called in, and we find that he's not breathing. We have to take out our bag valve mask and breathe for him, as well as administer Narcan. If we don't breathe for him, the Narcan will not flow through his lungs and be absorbed through his lungs for him to breathe again. You can arrive to a 55-year-old female who is having issues at home, other issues as well, maybe problems with relationships, and met somebody and was influenced into something, and now is passed out. And we will assess the breathing, see if they're breathing, assess to see if they're not breathing, what their pupils are like. Even if we don't have clear indication, we will give Narcan, because Narcan has not that many, let me stop this for a second. Narcan does not have that many side effects, and when in doubt, we do give Narcan to see if we can reverse, if it's an opioid. Narcan only applies to opioids. It won't apply to other drug overdoses, but it's the best tool that we have. And I have seen reversals, and as the detective has witnessed, reversals do save lives. Now, what happens after that? We do get folks that we see again. All right, it's not. It is an epidemic. It's not a one shoe fits all. There's different issues why people take it. It could be because they can't take the pain. It's prescribed. It could be that it's recreational. It could be that there's other issues that they're dealing with, and this helps, takes the edge off. It could be illegal or legal, the source of the opioid. So I tell people that as a job hazard that I see death at a higher rate than most people, except for I guess Mr. McCool. I'm sorry. But and those are the experiences that we have, and we're a hybrid. The ambulance corps is a hybrid agency. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer to see these things and to try to make a difference. We do have paid staff too to cover shifts as well. And we are a 501c3, and being on the southern part of Dutchess County, the southern western part of Dutchess County, we have actually paired up with Jean Marie to distribute Narcan in this end of the county, and she has as well, and they train folks, and we tell them in the training, this is come back every 2 years and get retrained. We want you to be proficient. We have we have a dummy mannequin that we use to help people practice, and Narcan is a game changer in a lot of ways. It's not the solution, but at least it's on the way to a solution.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is truly a team effort. We've heard from our friends at the Town of Fishkill PD and our friends at the Beacon Volunteer Ambulance Corps. We will now hear from our partners at the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. Tonight we have with us Detective Sergeant Adam Harris, Drug Task Force Coordinator, and with him is Drug Task Force Assistant Coordinator, Detective James Enkler.
Good evening. Before we start, I know a lot of you in this room know someone that overdosed and died, either related to, friends, neighbor. So what we're going to talk about what we do, is largely in part to prevent that from happening and you having to know that person. As the detective said earlier, he was assigned to the Drug Task Force for a few years. He knows what our mission is, and I'm going to explain that all to you right now. Personally, I've been a police officer for 17 years with the Sheriff's Office, Law Enforcement Division. Was a detective in 13, promoted to detective in 2013, and as a bureau detective, I largely investigated deaths. 2020, promoted to detective sergeant, and then recently this year assigned to the Drug Task Force as the coordinator. With me tonight is Detective Enkler, 30 years law enforcement, 25 with the Dutchess County Drug Task Force, working to put drug dealers behind bars and hopefully prevent these deaths. Currently, we have 6 agents assigned to the Drug Task Force from the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, City of Beacon Police, City of Poughkeepsie Police, Town of Hyde Park Police, and Town of East Fishkill Police. In addition, we have a drug enforcement agent that's assigned to our task force full-time and works out of our headquarters. Although Jimmy and I supervise the team, it is truly a team effort. We all work together to try and prevent overdose and hold drug dealers accountable. Recently, we implemented a tip line for the members of the public to use to report drug activity in their neighborhoods and their schools. We do get people that are suffering from addiction that do talk to us and give us information. One of our biggest functions is we support local police agencies. That's the idea of the task force and having participation from agencies throughout the county. We specifically support local agencies with overdose deaths and investigations with the sole purpose to try and hold the drug dealer accountable, to prevent that drug dealer from selling poison to another person that can overdose and die. Just recently, the Drug Task Force, close to the end of a 3-year investigation with the DEA into an individual that was selling heroin, fentanyl to individuals throughout the county, resulting in multiple deaths. That person's been arrested, held accountable. That investigation is ongoing, but that's an example of what we're doing. These cases take a long time to investigate, but we continue to investigate them and we're not going to stop. We've implemented an overdose reporting form to get the participation of local agencies involved, so they're telling us about their overdoses. We work with our medical examiner's office, and to Detective Chorba's point, you heard what's going on down here, but countywide, over 100 people in 2021 died of an overdose. Over 100. So it is a countywide problem. It is a very big problem in the town of Fishkill and the surrounding areas. And everybody you're listening to tonight and everybody that you're going to hear after we talk, the goal is to prevent them from happening. So our mission is to target upper level and mid-level drug dealers and hold them accountable by investigating them, arresting them. And this task force, and I didn't mention this earlier, is the Dutchess County District Attorney's Task Force. And then the District Attorney's Office prosecutes these individuals. Lastly, I'll finish with this. You didn't hear me mention the Town of Fishkill Police, but we work with them all the time. The chief has embraced our overdose reporting form and has been reporting overdoses to us, and we are actively assisting them with an overdose death investigation right now. We also invite the Town of Fishkill Police Department to join the Dutchess County Drug Task Force and give us a member that has experience and help us with our mission to hold these drug dealers accountable. But even right now, the police chief and his men and women at the Town of Fishkill Police Department work very well with the Dutchess County Drug Task Force. And I'm going to end with this. I know I was introduced as a sheriff's office supervisor, and Detective Ankler works for the sheriff's office. We work for Sheriff Imperati, but we also represent those other police departments. We represent the Town of Hyde Park Police Department, City of Beacon, Town of East Fishkill, City of Poughkeepsie Police, and obviously the sheriff's office. And all of our partner agencies are working to prevent overdose deaths and hold drug dealers accountable. Detective Ankler.
So, most recently, with the case that the sergeant was talking about, it's in the papers already. It's Alan Peliquin. If you Google that name, it'll give you the entire case online. Dennis Sika is another guy that was held accountable federally. And what was the last one we did in Poughkeepsie? Can't remember his name. But there's another gentleman that we did federally also. And these guys, Dennis Sika got 35 years for killing numerous people. Alan Peliquin is going to be held accountable for killing 5 or 8 people. You know, these cases just continue, and we just keep fighting every day to try to make that happen. Thank you.
So, gentlemen, so what can the citizen watching tonight help you do? How can they help you?
Call the tip line, report. Okay, good point. So the tip line is an email address that's set up, drugtaskforcetips@gmail.com. I believe the Town of Fishkill Town Board posted the tip line.
We could do it again.
The chief of police posted it in his police department. It also went out countywide. So you also can call 845-463-6040. I would call us. It doesn't matter how minor you may think the activity is. Our job is to evaluate it and take action and do what we can do. So if I was the member of the public, call and talk to us. We're here to help you. We understand there's a lot of challenges. You're hearing in the news about shootings and other things. These drug dealers are killing people, okay? So you can help us by calling and reporting somebody and letting us start an investigation.
And if you have a family member that does come across a loved one that has had this happen to them, do not get rid of the evidence. It really helps us to investigate this. Do not get rid of the cell phones. Don't try and clean up the scenes for us, because nobody's going to be arrested when we show up. It just really helps us to investigate these cases a lot quicker if we can have that evidence.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the tip can become anonymous. What we have found since the tip line went active, which was the first week of March, most people don't care to give us their names because it's so important to them to stop. They're not hiding. They want these drug dealers held accountable. They're not scared to say, I lost a family member. They're giving us this info. But if they do want to leave it anonymously, we don't track the email address or the phone number that calls it in, and we take the information, we run with it.
Excellent. Thanks again.
Just want you guys to know that this is live on TV too, so everybody's in the community is listening.
It is my pleasure to introduce Yvette Valdez-Smith, Minority Leader of the Dutchess County Legislature.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here tonight. I really want to thank Councilman Rye and Foreman for getting this together. I see so many different arms of different aspects of how we can all come together and really try to make change for our community. We know that we have all suffered. I'm sorry, I should introduce myself. I am the Minority Leader of Dutchess County Legislature, but I proudly serve the Town of Fishkill as the District 16 legislator. I was very honored to meet the Herrings. What they've done for us here in Dutchess is bring an awareness and bring, it's difficult for me to talk about because it has impacted my family as well. And like was said before, this has reached every single person sitting in this room, whether it is a friend or a family member. The drug crisis has impacted everyone, and it continues to. So things like tonight are so important for us and for our community going forward. The more discussions we can have like this, we can start to end the stigma. We can talk about things and really, really know that we don't have to be ashamed or hide someone's problem. We have to care about one another and get this education out for people. You know, I have lost friends and family members. But as a former public school teacher, I have lost students. Our youth, they are suffering. And this is why we must continue work like this. I'm a mom of 2 young boys here in Fishkill. And with addiction that runs in my family, I'm terrified. So the more programming we can do, the more education we have out there, it is what we need to continue to do. Us as elected officials, all of you sitting here tonight, this is amazing that you have all let us have this presentation, and I'm very, very grateful for it. The Dutchess County themselves also have a tremendous app. It's called the Dutchess Helpline. It's available for free to download, and it has all different types of information that you can use, where to get Narcan, where to get other types of help. suicide prevention. There's all different types of information really at the fingertips that is provided by our county, so I highly recommend that also. Thank you all for having us here tonight, and thank you all, the detectives. That information is so useful for all of us, and everybody listening at home, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final presenter for the evening is Deputy Commissioner, Director of Community Services, Jean Marie Nyber.
Hi, good evening. I feel a little strange, to be honest, having the audience to my back. I'm used to being facing in the other direction, so I apologize. So it's my pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the services and a little bit about how service delivery happens at the county level. So basically, every county in New York State has what's called an LGU, or a local governmental unit, and state aid comes from our overseeing agencies at the state level. That money comes into our department in Dutchess County. That's the Department of Behavioral and Community Health. We then decide what to do with that money and how to use those funds to best serve the community. So we think that we've come up with a decent plan to be able to do this. We have excellent services in Dutchess County, and we're very proud of them. And one of the things we're also very proud of is that they've been evolving, and they've been evolving pretty dramatically over the last few years. Because what we realize is that the opioid epidemic is not like other epidemics that we've seen in the world of drugs. Opioids and fentanyl are so poisonous, the drug supply is so poisoned and so dangerous that people are dying who would, for instance, I'll just give a recent example because we review the medical examiner's data pretty regularly. An individual who's going to college and does a little bit of cocaine at a party, and there's fentanyl in that cocaine, dies of an overdose because they've never done an opioid before. So they're what's called opioid naive. So when they use that substance, they're at a tremendous risk for death. So when we look over the death data, which is a very depressing thing to do, as you've heard a lot of tonight, one of the things we try to do is identify where the gaps in our treatment system are to make sure that we have something in place for everyone who needs assistance. And that means looking at individuals who are still using substances and are actively engaged in substance use. We want to be able to make sure that we can help them in some way, even if they're not ready for our help. We want to make sure that we can reach the people who are on the street and in houses. We want to make sure that we can reach professional people with substance use disorders and homeless people with substance use disorders, young people and older people. And if there's anything that our data tells us, it's that everyone is impacted by this. So I'm going to talk first about crisis services. In Dutchess County, we have a full continuum of crisis services, really unlike any other county in New York State. We were the first county in New York to open a stabilization center. The Dutchess County Stabilization Center is located at 230 North Road in Poughkeepsie. It's open 24 hours a day. It never closes. There was a couple days during the pandemic when we did virtual telehealth there, but that was it. Otherwise, we are always there. That center allows people to gain access to support 24 hours a day, regardless of ability to pay, regardless of insurance coverage, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whether you're 5 years old or 95 years old. It's a wonderful alternative to going to the emergency room and sitting and waiting. You get immediate assistance. And the folks at the Stabilization Center are well-trained in connecting people immediately to services.
Excuse me, so what do they do when you walk, what is it for?
So it's for any kind of mental health or substance use
So
problem.
somebody took too much drugs, they can go in there and get, okay.
So if someone is having a substance use crisis and they're looking for some sort of help, they can come into the Stabilization Center. They can stay there up to 24 hours. We have people spend the night regularly. and we get them a bed in rehab, if that's what they want to do. It's a completely voluntary service, so when people come in, it's very person-centered. It's, how can we help you? In addition to the Stabilization Center, we also have the Dutchess County Helpline, which is a 24-hour helpline, which is staffed by mental health professionals. You can call that number or text that number, and thank you for mentioning the app. We also have a wonderful app that talks about this service as well. And that is a wonderful resource that, again, anyone can use at any time. It's a free service. And it connects people to services. And it also helps to de-escalate people who are in crisis. We have some very exciting collaborations going on right now with our 911 center. The helpline is now co-located with 911 at the Emergency Response Center in Creek Lock Road in Poughkeepsie. What that relationship is allowing us to do is to make sure that when people call 911 in a mental health crisis or a substance use crisis, and it's not an imminent kind of situation, that call gets immediately passed off to the helpline, where it's more appropriately dealt with by mental health professionals rather than law enforcement or ambulance, preserving those precious resources for the situations that need them the most, and getting the people into some help and service and support. We're also poised to take on 988, which is a national suicide prevention initiative. This will be coming to us in July. We've been asked by the New York State Office of Mental Health to cover several counties, so we won't just be covering Dutchess, we'll be covering some of our neighboring entities as well, and we think we're well poised to do that. We have the infrastructure, many counties don't have that, we're very fortunate that we do. We also have a myriad of service providers across the entire treatment continuum, from prevention to treatment to recovery in Dutchess County. So we have some prevention agencies. In fact, one is located right here in this building, CAPE. That's a contract agency of the Department of Behavioral and Community Health, and they focus on prevention services. Of course, one of the best ways to make sure that people don't die of overdoses or start using substances at all is to prevent that from happening. So agencies like CAPE and some other prevention initiatives make sure that all people have access to programming and supports that prevent the escalation of mental health and substance use disorders. We also work with the Lexington Center for Recovery, which is a contract agency of DVCH, and they provide medication-assisted treatment and outpatient services for adults and youth and families in Dutchess County. They have locations across Dutchess County. They also run a methadone program, which, just to touch a little bit on what we're now calling MOUD, or medically assisted treatment. For many people are familiar with the term MAT, or medication assisted treatment. Those services are saving lives. So buprenorphine and methadone and Vivitrol, those types of services, because of the very deep grip that opioids have on an individual's brain, that medication helps people survive. I have seen it time and time again, and the scientific literature around this is so robust that it's now considered malpractice to not offer it. Every licensed treatment provider in New York State has to offer medication-assisted treatment. It's that effective. So, we heard a lot about naloxone, we heard a lot about other things. One thing that's not talked about as much, but I do want to speak about tonight, because I'd like to bring it some attention, is the idea of harm reduction. So I talked briefly about individuals who are still using substances and are not interested in any type of treatment or recovery services. We feel that it's extremely important to engage with those individuals as well, because just because they're not ready to enter into some formal treatment doesn't mean we're going to give up on them. So we have a lot of street outreach and other resources going on in Dutchess County right now to make sure that even the folks who don't want to see us constantly and persistently, so that when they are ready, we are able to help them. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you very much.
That is the conclusion.
1 second. The detective over there said that people do overdose on marijuana. Yeah, you were going to follow up with that. And the misconception is that you can't OD from that.
Right, it was a incident in our stats that it was, if I think I remember correctly, it was a 15-year-old who had anxiety for it. So it was called in, you know, so it wasn't necessarily an overdose where they would have died with it. It was within my coverage of the medical calls that we had and the actual act that, you know, we were getting called to medically. And kind of one of the things I did miss out on that I wanted to make a point to you here on the board. If I told you that we had 8 homicides, 8 murders, and we had 23 attempted murders, would our view and our position on drugs and how we have to work hard to stop them, would our view be any different? So, something to think.
Well said.
Thank you.
I can't thank you all enough for your time. I thank the board. Did you have anything to say?
No, the 2 gentlemen, the baseball guys.
Oh, they're next, I know. I just want to thank everyone for giving the time. I know we extended it. There's a lot of information there. Thank God we are televised, and it is recorded, so if you missed something, just go back and play it again. Thank you, everyone, for your time and for being here tonight. I appreciate it, and the town appreciates it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John Foreman, for helping.
Renegades people, let's move on up here. Isaac, introduce your friend, and this is a great little, you know, engaging you guys on the Fishkill Serves Day. I don't know if that inspired you guys to do what you're announcing now. It doesn't matter. Fishkill Night, July 26th, Dutchess Stadium, supporting local businesses. Fundraising for charities. I see Ann LaGoy's here, so this is going to be good info for her. Opportunity to have a table in the concourse, so take it away, Isaac.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Rye. Thanks for inviting us out tonight. My name is Isaac Hennon. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is my colleague, Will Young. We both work with the Hudson Valley Renegades up in the area there on the Hudson River. And we just want to thank you all for the opportunity tonight to talk about Fishkill Night, which is coming up in the end of July. So Will and I neither of us are from Fishkill. We're both from Minnesota, so why are we out here? We came out here for the job. But Fishkill has quickly become home to me and Will. You know, I go to church right up in St. Mary's. I shop at the local shops here in Fishkill. We just ate at 84 Diner before coming here tonight. So Fishkill has quickly become home to us, and it's been a very welcoming community. And so we were sitting in the office one day thinking, how can we give back to the community as the Hudson Valley Renegades? And we came up with the idea to put together a Fishkill Night. We know Councilman Rye has been working with us already on Fishkill Serves, but we wanted to really promote, highlight, and celebrate the many great local businesses here in Fishkill, which is why we put this night together. So basically, what we're going to be doing on July 26th is offering the opportunity for these businesses to come out to Dutchess Stadium and promote themselves, you know, give information about what they do, and meet with our fans on a personal level there at the Dutch. So yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. And then also the opportunity to fundraise and support charities that they care about. So what we're going to do is encourage Fishkill businesses to set up ticket portals with us for that evening, invite their friends, their families, their coworkers to come out to a game at Dutchess Stadium and see all these great local businesses here in Fishkill. By coming out to the games, it opens up the opportunity for these businesses to table with us in our concourse throughout the game and to interact with our fans, gain new business and network with the community in that way. And then also, every ticket that is purchased through these ticket portals, a portion of that ticket will go to a charity of their choosing. We work with the Ronald McDonald House already. We work with the food pantry here in Fishkill. We're working with a children's hospital that's presented by Westchester Medical Center. So there's many great local charities that the Renegades already work with, but we want to work with the community on charities that you all care about as well. So yeah, we're going to be working with you on that. And then we also want to set up, obviously, and highlight great Fishkill talent by bringing out a national anthem singer, God Bless America singer from Fishkill as well. So that leads us to what we will be doing on game day, which is putting these sponsorship tables in the concourse, and that's for businesses that work with us on these ticket portals that we're talking about. Would be the opportunity to throw out first pitches for any businesses that come out with us that evening. And the business or organization that would be able to bring out the most people with us that night would receive an uncatered luxury box for 15 people for an August or September game of their choosing, free of cost. It's kind of an added incentive to come out and support the community that night. So that's kind of the gist of what we're doing on Tuesday, July 26th. And we'd like to invite everyone in Fishkill to come out, and even if you're not with the business, just come out and celebrate and enjoy and meet with these businesses and see what they do and how their business can benefit you all. So.
I'll step in here. One of the big things that we're really trying to focus on this year is getting back into the community. Last year was a difficult year for everybody, and for us too, not being able to get in front of the people that we always want to. And that's one of the goals of this right here, is it's really not about getting people to the stadium. It's not about us getting more fans in the ballpark. It's really about getting back into that community aspect of what we're doing. Things we've done this year, one of the biggest things we've done is open a sensory suite this year. So every single game this year, we have a family that's been affected by autism. We give them a suite free of charge. They've been able to come to the game. We've had families at every single game this year so far being able to come out and enjoy a soundproof room. There are different sensory activities that they're able to do where children are really able to enjoy a game in a way that they're able to enjoy the game. Other things are, we have a We Care Wednesday program where every Wednesday we're highlighting local charities, local nonprofits that we're able to support in a way that we can do. And that's really what this is we want to be able to give the opportunity for Fishkill businesses and other people that we work with all the time to really support causes that they care about. And that's really what this is all about. That's what this idea is all about. There's no upfront cost, there's no financial commitment to it. It's really just about spreading the word to be able to say, with all the stuff that's going on, like we talked about, this amazing presentation about spreading awareness of these kind of things, being able to work with those foundations, work with those charities to say, we are a part of this community and we care about these issues and we want to be able to use your help as the town, your help as the community, to be able to focus on what we're really trying to do, which is give back to the people that allow this to be possible for us.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So does the charity have to be in Fishkill as well, or is it just the business has to be in Fishkill?
Business has to be in Fishkill. It could be for, it could be for suicide prevention. It could be for the Ronald McDonald House. It could be for anything.
Heart Association.
Anything that somebody's passionate about. Really just about the business.
But let's say there's a locally based charity that wanted to participate. Could they go and recruit businesses to participate and say, if you have this QR code and you sell tickets, a percentage of your sales will go to my charity, and it's a win-win for everyone? Can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we're hoping is going to happen. Is we want these charities and these businesses to both benefit from this, right? We want the businesses to be able to give to the charities that they want to support and also promote their business as well. So that's exactly what we're hoping is going to happen with this.
That's great.
And then any questions, anything like that can be directed to Will or myself. Our phone number is 845-838-0094. We're in the office Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. I can also be reached through my email. It's Isaac, ISAAC, @hvrenegades.com. With any questions about this, any interest in setting something up with us, we'd love to help with that. So if you have any other questions, we'd be happy to answer those for you now. Otherwise, we look forward to working with anyone that would be interested in doing this with us.
Anybody?
If you're not a season ticket holder, you can reach out to Will, and he'd be happy to help you. He's my manager as a season ticket holder.
And I mean, just to close real quick, the big thing about what we do and what we strive for is just fun. Our slogan this year is "Find Your Fun," and as Louise knows, as we try to show everybody what we do is we're all about giving people a good time and giving people kind of an escape for 3 hours. I've seen a lot of you at games. I've seen you have fun, seen people, be around the game, and it's really what we're here for. It's what this is all about. It's providing a fun opportunity while we can still give back, and that's really what this is for. So find your fun, find it at Fishkill.
We love having the Renegades here, and you guys are great partners, and thank you so much.
No, thank you guys, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're done with all our presentations. Next up is privilege of the floor for general town items. Anybody wish to speak about any town items? Young man?
My name is Ryan Schaefer. I am a new hire for the Town of Fishkill Rec Center for the summer camp. And I just enjoy working with kids. That's why I want to work at the summer camp. And I also needed a summer job this year. So, yeah.
Okay. You live in Fishkill?
Yeah, I live right over in Beacon Hills. So, like, right on, yeah.
Doing a lot of work for you guys in Beacon Hills, sir. Here we are. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Anybody else get hired today?
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Kush, and I'm a sophomore at Beacon High School. And I want to work at the summer camp because I want to help with kids and to be have an impact on my community.
Can you repeat your name for the clerk?
Oh, Cheyenne Kush.
And where do you live?
Beacon.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
you. Anybody else being hired today?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Greco, and I also have been hired for the Fishkill Fun Camp. Okay. I have been selected for the Performing Arts Director. I am currently, I just finished my third year of as a music education major at Western Connecticut State University. Mm-hmm. And I chose to apply for this job because as a future educator, I want to inspire children through the arts.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Miss?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Keith Kalman. I also got hired for the Fishkill camp, be a camp counselor. I'm 18 years old. I just finished my first year of college, and I'm really looking forward to working with this community, just being with the team, helping others, and hopefully having fun in the process. Thank you.
Where are you going to college?
Fairfield University.
Okay, excellent. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gianna Genevo, and I also got hired. I'm going to be the Arts and Crafts Director at the summer camp, and I've worked there the past 2 years as well as a camp counselor. I've had a lot of fun working with the kids, so I'm looking forward to working there again this year.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
You want to do Ms. Puma?
No, we'll wait till we get up there.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Next up will be to the floor. I have one comment. I'd like to thank the town historian Paul Gronkowski for restoring the Washington Sword plaque over there by, I'm sorry? I already did that. Again, I'd like to thank the town historian Paul Gronkowski for restoring the Washington Sword plaque over there on 52 by the on-ramp by Guerin Park. It came out real beautiful. Thank you very much, Paul. This is the second one he did. He also did the battery at the Route 9 Putnam County border a year ago, and thank you very much for this. The public loves what you did. Next up will be liaison reports. Start with Louise.
Okay, so for this meeting, the rec center, last Wednesday, the supervisor and I went on the first center casino trip post-COVID. We went to resorts in Catskill, and even though I didn't win, I enjoyed my day out with Mary Ann and all of those who went. Next Tuesday, the 24th, is a senior sock hop lunch, which you would have had to have signed up for. It should be fun. It's at 10 o'clock. There will be a concert in the park on June 22nd at 11 a.m., 8 o'clock, one more time. $8. It includes lunch also. See Mary Ann if you want to sign up. This is different from the county senior picnic, which is on June 8th. That one's free, and that's in the park, but you have to register through the county. For the Village of Fishkill, the meeting Monday was canceled because of the impending storm. That thankfully didn't happen. But I forgot to say at the last meeting, the Village of Fishkill, if you haven't seen it, if you go through the village, on most of their street lights, they have white ribbons, and the white ribbons on them have the initials NAMI, which stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is a grassroots group that family members have created for people diagnosed with mental illness. It kind of fits in with everything else we're talking about with the drug problem, also mental illness problem, and it's Mental Illness Awareness Month. If anybody has any issues and they want to talk to anybody, there's a 1-800 number, 950-NAMI, or you can text NAMI to 741741. For water, Mike from Camo continues to work on upcoming projects. The supervisor asked me to remind him later, we have to talk about a sewer situation that has come up, so I'm just reminding you.
Yes, thank you.
The planning board, I attended the last planning board meeting, which was a new late-night record. It ended just before midnight. I've been to one in years past that was at 11:30, but this one topped it. And at the end of the meeting, I'll be bringing something up for new business regarding the planning board. Lastly, today, the supervisor and I and Carmine went to the Fishkill Correctional Facility to take a tour with the superintendent there invited us, along with local leaders, law enforcement, and the DA's office personnel. It was limited, that's why I didn't invite everybody. I didn't want you to think I didn't want you to go, but he told me only a few people could go. It was very transparent and very informative, and they have many impressive programs there for the people that are, what do we call them? They're called II, incarcerated individuals. The best program they have is called Puppies Behind Bars, which all of the people that are in that program, they spoke about it. They had their dogs there, and they just talked about the impact that it has on them and all the other people that are in there. So it's a really good program, and yeah, it's very beneficial. So that's it for me.
Good evening, everybody. Couple things. We'll be starting the drainage work on Field C at the Little League fields very soon, so that's great news. We're working on the RFP for the fencing of several of our parks, so we're going to upgrade a lot of the fencing, make them look nicer, and the dog park, some fields, adding an additional total fence on Field C, and also working on doing T-ball. There was no zoning board meeting, so I have nothing to report there. And another RFP that we're trying to finalize is for the rec roof.
Excellent. John?
Okay, Wednesday, May 11th, I hopped on a call with the Comprehensive Plan Committee. We had a Zoom call. I want to thank all the citizens that took time out to complete the survey, either online or on hard copy paper. And a special thank you to Eddie Colon for being an ambassador of our committee, handing out the hard copy surveys to a lot of the people who don't get around as much as some other people. So thank you, Mr. Colon. We are scheduling a Zoom call for June to talk specifically about the survey, and then we'll have a second meeting in June to continue the work that's being done. I too attended the planning board meeting on May the 12th. I will have one comment on that. I've attended planning board meetings in November, December, January, February, March, and May. It seems like every one of these meetings go past 11 o'clock. I believe it's unfair for an applicant to have to wait for 4 hours to discuss their project in front of the board, and it costs them money, and most of the time, they either bring their attorney or their engineer with them. And I just think something has to be done. And I will tell you that the town of Wappinger has 2 meetings a month. And I don't know if that would fly here in Fishkill, but I'll throw it out there and let the planning board figure out what they can do to, I mean, their agendas are packed. Every month they're packed, so. Monday the 16th and Tuesday the 17th, the supervisor and Councilman Rye and I attended training sponsored by the Association of Towns up in Albany. We spent a lot of time on budgeting and audits. Fun stuff. And this morning I met with Judge Epstein to discuss happenings in Justice Court. We are down one part-time employee in that department, but the feeling is the 3 full-time employees that are in there are capable of getting the job done. And he mentioned some maintenance issues in the bathrooms that I'll discuss later on tonight. And that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Ryan?
Okay. One of my liaison efforts is, of course, working with Dutchess Community College and the Fishkill campus. That's been silent for a while, but this morning it was announced that DCC and Fishkill will be having, it's not fully activated yet, and it's not fully formulated, but it's going to be a robotics and AI type of course offering that will be there. I've communicated with Micro Associate Dean of Enrollment Management, who made this announcement, and he, along with the president, will be interested in coming and talking about that offering at a time in the fall when things are settled. John and I are meeting with Fire Chief Firehouses this Saturday. We're continuing that meeting. The most convenient spot is going to be in the police department in the community room. It's just easy and accessible in there, so we're going to be meeting in that particular location. And I have a meeting with the highway department this Friday morning at 8. They have things they want to discuss with me. I look forward to hearing what they have to say, and I have questions, and we have a good ongoing dialogue, so I look forward to bringing information back. That's it.
Excellent. All right. There's no presentation, so we'll go into discussions. 1 and 2 are basically the same, pay increases for building, finance, and then supervisor's office and highway department employees. And even though we're doing this, we lost a very good young man this week. We're going to be accepting his resignation, so even though we offered a nice pay raise, he still left. This is going to be a continual problem for the town of Fishkill. So let's take 1 and 2 together. Any questions? Any comments? Go on, Louise.
Okay. My comments are that I remain consistent with what I think. It's not that I don't think that people should get raises, but they should be done during budget time at the same time of the year. And I'm glad to see that Greg is actually on that list, even though, sorry, I'm saying no, Greg, I think you deserve it, but at budget time it would have been better, because you didn't get a stipend like other people did last year. So I think you do a great job beyond what you're doing, and we should be looking to make sure you get compensated for that. What else? Basically, we're hiring an HR person tonight, so my thought was that we actually should wait until she's hired and create policy, which is something I crave for. I've looked forward to policy since the first day I was on the board, so that's what I think would be more fiscally responsible to do.
Any other comments?
There's a large portion of what Louise just said that I agree with. I can't wait to get this HR person hired. I know it's a matter of fairness and as far as this goes, but policy with an HR director, we're going to be following that going forward, and it's just going to be taking care of it at a time once a year. I look forward to that.
Numbers 3 and 4 deal with transfers to make those increases. Anybody have any questions on those? 3 and 4? Okay. We'll go to number 5, discussion of resolution to approve Peddler's permit for Ampumata. How did I say that right? Ampumata? Mama?
Empanada.
Did I say it right?
Empanada.
Yeah, I had one of those for the first time the other day. It's pretty good. Everybody okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Where is it going to be located?
Yeah.
Yeah, where is it?
Westridge.
200
Westridge.
Westridge.
Yeah. Thank you.
Where the cluck truck is?
Where in 200 Westridge?
In the parking lot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Like where the club truck, where she,
That's another vendor who sells chicken,
Yeah.
who's also in the parking lot
Oh.
area.
Westage allows them to, to all, but there's so many staff there.
Right.
That they encourage them to get permits to come and be on their property.
Do we have days of the week they're going to be there? Or?
It's all in the packets.
Yeah, I didn't see the days, though.
Yeah, what they do is they rotate different vendors.
Okay.
So they
Is that
get
what they
different.
do?
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Didn't know.
All right, next one will be the same thing, a peddler's permit for Cousins Maine Lobster. I've had it, it's delicious. Anybody have a question with this one?
I can't wait.
Not a one.
So this one's going to be in Round Hill, correct?
Round Hill condominium.
All right, on certain days. There's only certain days. I'll have to mark my calendar.
Yeah, there's a line for this. I think we're at All Sport a couple weeks ago, and my wife went and it took her over a half hour to get something.
I believe it.
Yep.
They're supposed to be phenomenal.
It's expensive, though. It's expensive.
That was from the Shark Tank show, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then the one that we amended here, number 7, discussion and resolution to approve peddler's permit for Trinity Solar. We're only going to approve for the streets in the town of Fishkill, not the village of Fishkill. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Number 8 is discussion of waiving vendor fees for veterans. The deputy clerk, Catherine, brought this to my attention that we were charging veterans. I'd like to waive these fees for veterans. Everybody okay with this?
Yep.
Fine.
Okay.
So did we have a resolution for that?
Greg, is that on a resolution?
Oh, no, there was no resolution prepared for that, but I can put one on for June 1st.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a resolution for that, for next month. Next one up is a hiring of discussion of retirement and reappointment of Sheryl of Fuso as part-time police assistant. Everybody okay with that?
Yes, I talked to the chief about her, and she's very important, and so this is a very good thing.
Is
Excellent.
that the same rate? Same rate?
Huh?
Same rate?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, she's retiring evidently from teaching, and before she can take this job, there's got to be a lapse in time off, and then she can come on board, and it's the same rate. She's the dispatcher, so whatever, we have that right at.
It says continue the employment at the same rate. Further, to the same terms and conditions previously afforded to her as a part-time employee of the town.
I just didn't see the salary, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I'm good.
Continue with the same
Okay.
conditions.
Oh, okay, good.
Same.
Thanks.
Next one up is a discussion of resolution to amend the employee handbook. Anybody like to discuss that? So I'm not in favor of changing it.
I would just like to say that this is something, well, actually, I'll say it now, just before, it's all three of the next resolution, or discussions are together. So, first, I want to thank the supervisor for letting all of the board members work together to look for an HR person, and I think that it was very good. We actually all worked well together, and I want to thank Sharon and Olympia for setting up all the appointments, and this was true due diligence, because we took it right off the civil service list, and we went down, and thank you to John, who filled in for me when I was sick, so he and Carmine did the first 8 interviews, and then the 4 that got moved forward, Brian and I did, and when we got to the person who we really wanted to hire, we had no negotiating tools or mechanisms. So this is what the 4 of us decided was necessary to actually hire the person that we think is going to be an asset to the town and move us forward and help the employees with issues that are ongoing.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
The next one will be number 11, the discussion resolution to allocate 25 personal time off days for the personal administrator. I'm not for the additional time off, but you guys are. Next up is discussion.
Well, we can just say, like, her experience in education, we all felt that it was justified.
That's fine.
Yep.
It's democracy here. Number 12 is discussion of resolution to appoint Suzanne Puma as personnel administrator.
Suzanne, can you come forward, please? So in the agenda packet, there wasn't a resume, so if you could just address, introduce yourself and give everybody a little bit of your background.
Sure.
Helpful. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Puma. I'm a senior human resources professional with over 20 years' experience in all areas of human resources. I have extensive knowledge in employment laws, benefit administration, training, recruiting, policy creation, and the civil service process. I have an MBA with a concentration in Human Resources from Iona College, as well as a bachelor's degree in business. I have 4 years' experience in government, including at the county level and at the town level, both in Dutchess County. Let's see, I look forward to bringing my knowledge and experience to the wonderful town of Fishkill, where I have lived for the past 8.5 years with my family. And I want to thank everyone. Everyone that I met with, I think, it was wonderful meeting all of you, and I look forward to meeting the rest of the team.
Thank you.
Any questions or anything?
We have a big problem hiring police officers. We're short 7 police officers. How do you plan on getting us 7 cops?
Well, I think the first thing would really be to speak with, I don't think it's an answer I have immediately. I think I have a lot of experience recruiting. However, I think the way I typically work is to meet with all the different people involved in the process and really figure out what their needs are. I think that, right now there's a lot of businesses and governments having trouble finding people, but I think that, it's the way, I think that with working with all of you, I'm sure that we can do our best to find qualified people as quickly as we can.
I know there's an extensive background beyond, I would imagine beyond maybe your capability that the chief goes through per candidate. So I know he's got an extensive process. Have you ever hired police or worked with the police department? I'm just curious. We didn't discuss that when we were interviewing you. So.
Right, we did not.
And I don't know you posed that, and I don't know, would that be something that you would do, or is that the chief's purview for recruiting and hiring and screening?
I would imagine it would be both, both myself as well as the police chief.
Okay.
I have not hired police in the past, but it's something that I'm
sure you'll team up with the chief and work that out.
Yes.
No.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Next up is discussion of the resolution hiring the seasonal hiring recreational department staff. That was pretty cool watching all the young kids here. Everybody okay with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next up is discussion of the body cameras. You guys, the last meeting wanted a little more breakdown. And this is what we put in for the grant, right? The breakdown. So the body camera equipment purchase would be $75,000. For this, we're looking at the camera devices as well as chargers and any other physical equipment related to the actual cameras. Police officer body camera training, $75,000. This system will require extensive training for all staff at the department. This portion of the funding will ensure that the training takes place without utilizing budgeted department salary. Ancillary and technical system purchases, $150,000. This covers the need to upgrade computer systems and any infrastructure changes needed in the police station, such as storage space and equipment needed to maintain the cameras. Data storage, approximately $250,000 for fiscal year 2023. This will provide the purchase of either a hard drive disk or cloud storage based on the availability and prices to store the data from the camera's devices. This will likely to be the largest single expense. Public engagement and education initiative, $50,000. These funds enable the town to engage in an initiative to educate the public to strengthen the relationship between the Fishkill PD and the community. This total is $600,000 in allocation for fiscal year 23. The total of $600,000 provides the ability of the town to implement as robust a system as possible without the annual budget process or any effect on a town tax levy. Any questions on that? And that's the breakdown that we applied for the grant.
You can go first. Brian?
Well, when we get to the end of this cash, it's a matter of annual cost at that particular point. I'm just wondering, these are really obviously attractive numbers. I think the chief is good with, this purchasing of body cameras, et cetera. But how do we know what it will be costing the town to maintain and manage and potentially upgrade or whatever at the end of this, and how, I just don't know. Chief, how do we work on the particulars of like how many cameras, what would be, when does this money come in, first of all? When it comes in next year? Yeah. Oh, 23, right. So, Chief, I know this is all brand new, so what can you do maybe to help us take a look at these funds, this breakdown, and what would be purchased, what would be handled, what would be stored, and how long it would last, how long this cash would last, and then where does the town start picking up the bill? How can you assist in that?
So we're looking at, right now, Axon is the premier company that provides body-worn cameras. So we're in talks with Axon to see what they can provide with the funds that we've received. And what we're looking at is not only, because typically they deal in 5-year contracts. So I'm going to get in touch with the comptroller and see if not only can we purchase what we need now and contract out for the next 5 years, but to look to the future and see if we can take some of that funding and encumber it into the future to carry us for at least 10 years of avoiding the taxpayers having to pay a dime for the body-worn cameras. And there's other equipment that they provide, like car cameras, tasers, and things like that, that would all be part of this project. So these are all things we're looking at, but there's a lot of moving parts to this, and we are looking to stretch that money out as long as we can. So, if we can stretch this money out for 10 years, in that period of time, things are going to change, technology is going to change so dramatically that the prices may drop. So we don't know what we're going to be looking at by then.
Right.
But we are looking at this as a long-term project.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
How many cameras do you think we'll need?
It depends. We need a minimum of 20, but ideally, it would be best to have a camera for every officer.
That would be the plan. Every cop gets their own camera.
Because what happens is they're maintained better when they're owned, not owned, but, mentally owned by the officer, they'll be taken better care of.
Supervisor, do you think that we can, this is a nice chunk of money, and I want to thank you for your efforts getting this money, and also trying to get this grant. It's great to see that we can get this covered. It's quite a large sum of money. Do you think we can maybe share some of this with our neighbor, the village, who is actually our sister, encompassing us, since we do together a lot of things? They're backing you, we're backing them. I just think it might be nice if there was some excess money, maybe we could work with the village on sharing some of this funds.
I don't know if they want to do it.
Yeah, you'd have to ask them.
Yeah.
A suggestion.
Well, I mean, what are the particulars, of the legislation that gives us the monies? It's strictly for the town, that's a thing to look at, drill down on. Is that, how do we get a breakdown on this, on the particulars of this grant money?
He's not going to know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not something that
It's a
I'm
different
particularly
municipality.
familiar. Correct.
It's the village, which is in the town.
Correct.
Well, I
What,
think
they got about 30 cops? How many cops do they got there, Chief?
About 27.
Got about 27 police officers. And since we have extra, we might, let's see what the village wants.
Wait, how many police officers do we have?
Right, well, typically, we should have between 48 and 50,
So shouldn't we have 50 cameras then?
roughly, yes.
That's what we're going to get.
Okay, so I thought you said differently before.
So if I may suggest, Chief, if you can reach out to Commissioner and see if he'd be interested, and maybe the mayor?
Sure.
Should we find out first if we can share the money?
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
I don't know.
I
I don't know if they're going to want to do it.
I know, yeah. Well, we didn't want to do it
These
either,
guys
but
all
it's coming.
want their own things.
Can Maloney's office share with you, the particulars on this amount and give you that kind of guidance,
I want to get the money first, and then we'll talk about it.
That's a good way. Get it in the bank and then.
I know the village.
So maybe we can rent it to them or something for $1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know the village has applied for a grant.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
I know the village has applied for a grant themselves, so.
Yeah. Oh, so they want them?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know they wanted them. Okay.
So what is this public engagement, $50,000? It sounds like a consultant to me, which I do not like.
Go on, Greg.
That's a lot of cash.
Hi. Yeah, when it came to public engagement, I know that the chief and the supervisor have both stressed in the past engaging with the community. I just figured that this might offer the police department and the town in general to be able to engage in initiatives, whether that might be some sort of web campaign or the purchase of actual materials, whether that might be brochures, banners, et cetera, that the department could use at events. This is something that can be planned out over the next year, but that there can be a public education initiative and engagement initiative that gets implemented at the same time that the cameras are, as a way to continue to foster good relations between the PD and the community it serves.
Just seems like a lot of money for that.
Again, I, in the process working with the Congressman's office, applied for as much as seemed reasonable on the grounds that whatever we don't use, we have to give back to the federal government. So if the end cost of the project comes in at less than the $600,000, which the Congressman has submitted to the Appropriations Committee for their bill, we would then need to return that to them if it's not committed.
So 75,000 seems pretty low for me for 50-plus cameras. So if you needed money, so you're saying we can use that 50,000 for more cameras if we had to?
That is absolutely correct. The request is for a flat $600,000. When we were applying, they asked us to indicate what those funds might be used for and to guesstimate the amounts. So if we were to need more than $75,000 for the physical camera hardware, or we needed extra money for ancillary systems or for data storage, we could use other areas of that $600,000 which are not reaching those estimated levels. I tried to highball everything as much as possible to ensure that we can get as robust a system as possible without it being a taxpayer expense. But if there's anything left over in any of those tentative lines, they could be shifted around. There's no requirement that they be used for any specific purpose.
I also don't see like creating a policy, so lawyers cost money, which we'd have to create a policy on use and everything that would go along with that.
I'm sure that we could, if we need to tweak the lines there, that could easily be done.
Can you explain the data storage? Because I know that's the most expensive
I
thing.
would defer to the chief on that.
Can you explain the data storage, please?
Well, it all depends on what type of system we're going with. If we're going with an in-house system where we maintain the data storage, that's a completely different outlook than going to a company like Axon, who provides the cameras and they provide cloud storage. So then we don't have to worry about redundancy and things like that. If we're going to keep it in-house, and I had long conversation with Craig Roberts, we have to be concerned about redundancy, because if we have a computer that failure, we have to have a backup system. So that's where you start looking at the major expenses, having 2 servers to store data. I really think that we'd be better off going with a company like Axon, where it's stored off-site.
So does does the DA's office use Axon?
They do. They use evidence.com, which is a product of Axon.
Seems like a package like that makes more sense.
It does.
You know.
It expedites the information from the agency.
Yeah.
And because they're so technologically sound, they have a lot of redaction software specifically designed for this, so that it makes it easier and faster for us to be able to, redact images, people's faces, license plates, other confidential information from reports that will go out for discovery.
Is this the camera that the county went with?
It is. They're all county's looking at Axon. State police went with Axon.
Yeah. I know there's different upgrades that you can get, so, probably costing more money, but I think you said Taser, which I know why you said that,
Well, Taser is a part of Axon.
Right. So I just know that some of the police cameras, depending on where the triggers are that we want them to use,
Right.
gun, light switching, or Taser. So I've heard that we may have to switch to a different Taser if we were going to have a trigger as a Taser. Just putting that out there.
There's so many different
depends on what you
aspects of
want.
this.
Yeah. So there's a lot to look into and a lot to try and figure out. I'm just concerned like the other board members. I mean, for myself, I thought we weren't going with cameras, so it was just a surprise to not know that we were even looking for this grant. And the libertarian in myself doesn't like cameras or the government looking at anything, but I understand why it's a tool that's necessary. So again, my concern is just in the end, after the $600,000, what is it potentially going to cost the citizens?
I like the 10-year plan. But again, the legislation, and I didn't know you guys are really involved in negotiating lots of money, in different categories, so, I mean, that's illuminating, but it'll be good to get that in the legislation and read the particulars and know what we got here, really, what we can deal with. Like, for instance, what if we need to transfer some of this 50K into buying something else, and
I think we'll be able to do it.
yeah, and if there's any complementary equipment to get other than body cameras, is that possible as well?
Yeah, I would like to get the body cameras, there's all, as Louise was saying.
Is that an ancillary system?
That would be an ancillary system. John, come on.
Can we get a copy of whatever the legislation is, so we have something to read?
When we get it.
The legislation is expected to be adopted in October. So when that happens, we can get that.
Thank you.
The reason for the announcement being made so early is that it gives us the time needed to go through the planning phases on the moving parts that the chief was referring to, so that when the allocation is made and the award is made next year, we already have a plan in place by that point
Do we
as
need
to
a
how to
plan?
spend it within that fiscal year.
Are they requiring us to have a plan?
No.
Is that it?
No. It just makes it faster because we have to be able to commit those funds within 1 year of receiving them.
Is it an up to 600,000 or 600,000?
600,000 is the amount that's being put in for, in that request for the appropriations bill.
So, Chief, can we have maybe an initial snapshot of a plan? What would you consider to be a reasonable time for you to come back? It would be nothing etched in concrete, but just a starting point for us to have a discussion. Is there something you could help us in looking at that 10-year plan that you were just divulging?
I think 30 or 60 days, we could have a good outline of what our options are and what we'll be able to, I wouldn't say afford, because $600,000 is quite a bit of money. I think we'll be able to afford anything we need. It's a matter of looking at how far we want to stretch that money and what we can get within that time frame.
So into July, maybe you, or sooner, you could come back with something maybe? Is that
Yes.
agreeable to everybody? I'm just throwing that out there, Supervisor. What do you think, Louise?
Oh, I didn't know when he needed it by, so.
At
Yeah.
this point, the town's submission is complete. All we're going to be waiting on is the actual award to be delivered to us next year.
So would we need a plan, you say, by?
No, our
Okay.
submission is complete. Like I said, the only thing that we want to do from a planning standpoint is make it so that way when we have the money awarded to us, we're able to put it to use right away, so that those funds are committed within that 12-month window. If they're not committed at that point, we would need to return them.
That's what I'm hearing, so maybe, initial look at that plan. Does that work for you, Louise? What do you think?
I pretty much touched on the points that I think. Yeah, I mean, I think the chief already stated he's looking into it now. Once he gets a little bit more information, he can report back to us, whatever that time frame is. It sounds like Greg's saying it doesn't matter at this point, but when we get the money, we're going to need to know how we're going to spend it. Again,
Right.
my concern is just whether we're stretching it or how many years it will last, and then what it's going to cost after that. So.
And the other thing to take into consideration is when the contract expires, it's up to the town what you want to do from there. So if it looks like the cost is too much for what you want to pay for what we currently have at that point, we're going to renew the contract. We can change it completely. We're not locked into anything.
Did you say it had to be a 5-year, or it can be a 1-year?
Typically, they go with a 5-year. They look at 5-year contracts. I'll have to speak with the rep more to see if that's
Yeah, see if
That's
anything
locked
less is
in.
an option. That's a long time.
What are the municipalities outside of Dutchess County that you know that have cameras?
that have cameras. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I know that, as we all know, Dutchess County in general is trying to make a group purchase and use the federal grant to try and help subsidize that purchase. So it's, you know, it's what every municipality can afford is basically what it comes down to.
Greg, what was the difference between what the county was, when we were considering this with the county, were they going to give us money or no?
No. No, Greg, no. We're going to buy into it, that's all. The big problem was the storage. That's what we talked about. The cameras are relatively cheap, the chargers are cheap. The storage is what's expensive.
I know, I just didn't know if the county was actually going to give us part of a grant money, like we're getting grant money from the congressman.
No, we have to
So so this is a better deal than what the county was offering us. is what
What,
I'm saying.
the county
Yeah.
wasn't, to my understanding, the
Yeah.
county wasn't providing a grant. Every municipality was
Had to.
seeking a portion of the federal or state grant.
Okay.
On their own. So it's whatever they could get.
Which is where we're at.
Yeah, the idea with the county project was for us to buy, cooperatively as many systems as we can throughout the county to try and get a reduced rate. Instead of each agency representing themselves, we could represent as a county and say, we're buying more, so give us a better rate. That was the goal.
A group purchasing plan.
Group purchase,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Can you give us 3 options?
As far as setups?
Yep.
Again, it's going to depend on if we can encumber the money and how far out we can encumber it, but I think we're looking at body-worn cameras for every officer, a camera for every car, and if we do it right, we can get an LPR in
What's
every...
that?
LPR is a license plate reader.
Excellent. Yep.
So if you purchase the right package with the car cameras, then they come with LPRs. Of course, it's a little bit more expensive,
That's
but
okay.
that's an option. And the other option is to update our TASER purchases.
That's good.
All of our TASER equipment.
I've discussed LPR with you before, and it was very interesting. I'm just wondering if you could give a couple of sentences to people viewing what an LPR does for the force.
So an LPR is a license plate reader. It's a camera that sits on the external portion of the car. With the new technology that Axon has come up with, they're interior cameras, so not only does it film when it's activated, everything that is in front of the car out to about 100 yards, but it also supplies a license plate reader, which means that as the officer drives down the road, it captures an image of every car's license plate, and it does an immediate run through a hot list provided by the state, and it'll give the officer a readout telling him whether that license plate is a stolen vehicle, suspended, expired vehicle, but it also works, the criminal aspect of this is, let's say a crime occurs in the city of Poughkeepsie, and they have that license plate, but they don't have much more information, that they can plug that into the database, and our cars would then receive it. So if they pass that car that had just fled the scene of a crime, our cars will pick up on it. They'll be notified that that's the car that the other agency is looking for, and we can assist in that arrest. And there's a lot of other information that can be gleaned from these. And it's all public information. These are state license plates. They're not owned by the individual who owns the car. So there's nothing, it's public domain. When we capture that image, it can help us solve crimes down the road. I'll give you an example. There was a very serious crime that happened in Fishkill probably 20 years ago. And the criminals parked the car not too far from the scene. State police unit that happened to have an LPR passed that vehicle. They checked the LPR records later on when they were conducting the investigation, and they were able to identify the suspects, and that led them to the apprehension of these people who committed these murders. And that was in the town of Fishkill. And that's technology, the same technology that existed 15, 20 years ago. So it goes to show you how things that you can't foresee can be really beneficial.
And just so you know, like, the state police, when they first got the LPRs, like you said, they are expensive. So every car didn't have them, and that one car that was involved in the 2007 homicide, that was the tool that they used to actually find them. So it's an excellent tool for us to have. If we can't get one for every car, at least as many as we can would be a really, really good thing.
Yeah, my only concern is the long term, and that's the storage.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we could do better with the storage. Right, John?
Possibly.
Possibly. So, 3 options, please.
Okay.
Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, next up, a privilege.
Wait, Becky has a question.
I'm sorry, Becky.
Are you tabling this to when the chief...
Close it. Because what we'll do is we'll have him do a presentation. Next up is privilege of the floor for agenda items. Anybody want to speak about the agenda? Sir? You want to speak? No? Okay. Next up is consent agenda. Make a motion to present a motion to accept the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not too bad. First resolution to amend the employee handbook. Oh, jeez. Just a resolve. So the town board is going to add a provision to the employee handbook. Now therefore be resolved as follows. 1, the paragraph entitled Earning Paid Time Off in Section 802 of the Town of Fishkill Employee Handbook is hereby amended to read as follows. Earning paid time off for purpose of the PTO policy, all credited time off will be expressed in days. Permanent part-time employees will accrue a rate 50% of the accrued by a full-time employee. Paid time off is accredited annually on January 1st in advance of it being earned. An employee may take PTO that has been credited but not yet earned. However, in the event that the employee retires or terminates employment in the town, any unearned PTO that has been used will be deducted from the employee's final paycheck. Any earned PTO that has not been used will be added to the employee's final paycheck. Employees shall be credited with paid time off as shown below, except in that extenuating circumstances as determined by the town board. A new employee may be credited with a greater number of days, hours set forth below as authorized by the town board at the time of hire. At start of paid time off, 1 to 4 years, 12 days, 96 hours, 5 to 9 years, 15 days, 120 hours, 10 to 14 years, 20 days, 160 hours, 15 to 19 years, 25 days, 200 hours, 20 or more, 30 days, or 240 hours. That the town clerk will take the appropriate steps to have said revisions added to the official Town of Fishkill employee handbook on file. And the town shall make arrangements for notice of the revisions to be posted on the town website. 3, this resolution shall be immediately approved by the town board. Somebody make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Somebody do a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
It was Carmine was the second.
Yep.
Okay. Councilmember Rye?
Aye.
Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Councilmember Isfan?
Yes.
Councilmember Daniele?
Aye.
Supervisor Albert?
No. Next up, resolution number 2, resolution to allocate 25 personal days off to personal administrator. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. The town board hereby makes the following findings in regard to the position of town personnel administrator. A, the town board has revised the terms of employment of the personnel administrator and human resources director locally, and has determined that the number of personnel days off provided by private and public entities for such positions exceeds the number of personnel time off days granted under Section 802 of the employee handbook. And B, the town board has advertised the position of town personnel administrator and conducted interviews in an effort to fill the position, has determined that it's not possible to attract and hire qualified, suitable employees to fill the position unless the town grants a greater number of personal time off days and otherwise provided in Section 802 in the town's employee handbook. C, based on the foregoing, extenuating circumstance exists such to justify granting a greater number of personal time off days to personnel of the town personnel administration otherwise provided by Section 802 of the town employee handbook. And 2, that the town board hereby approves allocation and accrual of personal time off days per calendar year for the position of town personnel administrator as follows. A, for 2022, the total of 25 days, but prorated based on the number of days remaining in the year for the start date of the employee. B, for 2022, the total of 25 days. And C, thereafter, following a 5-year interviews for up to 20 years of employment, additional 5 PTO days shall be added. 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon approval of the town board. Somebody needs to make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Somebody needs to do a second. Roll call vote.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Thank you. Councilmember Rye?
Aye.
Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Councilmember Isfan?
Yes.
Councilmember Daniele?
Aye.
Supervisor Albrecht?
No. 4. Next up is resolution to authorize salary increases. Now therefore it be resolved that town board as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs incorporated herein are referenced those set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby amends the request as submitted to remove Eric Adler due to the employee's resignation, and hereby authorize the request of salary increases as amended and attached hereto to take effect for a pay period beginning May 23rd, 2022. The supervisor Section 3, the town supervisor or any other employee or officer is designated by the town supervisor to take any and all actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Okay. Next up, resolution to modify 2022 adopted fund budget for requested salary increases. All right. Just to resolve is good? It's short.
Sure.
Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the Town of Fishkill hereby amends the 2022 general aid fund adopted budget as stated herein. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, 4-1. Next up, items for special consideration. I don't think we have any.
There's one more resolution.
What, honey?
Number 5 is a resolution, one more.
I thought I did that.
You did 4.
I did 4? Oh, 5, okay. Right in front of me. All right. I see it, it's right in front of me. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the Town of Fishkill hereby amends the 2022 TOVB fund adopted budget as stated herein. Present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-1, thank you. Next up, I don't think we have any items for we do not have any items for special consideration. New and old business, Councilman Rye.
I want to point out something that, 2 items. I don't know that the board understands that we have a new member of the Town of Fishkill Police Department. Do people know that we have a new member of the Town of Fishkill Police Department?
We hired somebody today?
No, we had someone born today.
Oh, no, I did not know.
Congratulations to Officer Alyssa LaSorsa and her husband Mike on the delivery of their son Malcolm Antonio LaSorsa. Little Malcolm was born today. He is 6 pounds 15 ounces, and he is a new member of the Team of Blue, Town of Fishkill. God bless the LaSorsa family.
Okay, congratulations. What's your second one?
I had a senior that called me and had a conversation with her. She had someone that came to her door and was pretending to be someone from the census office. Here we are, the census is taken in 20 and it's 2022. This was a person, long story short, the PD did come out and interview the senior. I'm not going to say the name because we don't want to do that, but the person was insistent on coming in the house, insistent on, this will take 63 minutes to sit with you, and I have to come in, and you have to answer these questions. And it was belligerent, and it was intimidation, and she asked her to leave, and the person came back 2 or 3 times. And so I just say that as a warning to people out there, if you have someone come into your house. This is a senior that lives by herself, and I'm wondering if, this smacks of targeting. So I just put that out as a warning. No one can force themselves in your house, and certainly if they're pretending to be from the government, no one's going to do that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Excellent. That's scary.
Yeah.
John?
I apologize for not mentioning this at the beginning of the meeting, but we should welcome Dominic Cordesco, who is pinch hitting for Steve Gaba tonight, who is a scheduled trip out of town. And Dominic is also our planning board attorney. So,
yes.
Welcome, Dominic.
Thank you.
It was easy so far. We're going to have something for you in a couple minutes. Yeah. Carmine.
I'm quiet today. I have nothing to say.
Unreal.
Just note the time.
Louise.
So while I was at the planning board meeting, I heard the people, and I also heard the people on the planning board, and they have an issue which we can only address. So I'd like to bring up a discussion for the next meeting to change our code to require larger signs with larger letters for people to see when they have public hearing signs that are posted.
I'd like to also maybe add, and this is a good thing, this is prior to my predecessor, they didn't even have signs, so he put the signs there, and we're going to approve on that.
And not only that, we've had people come and speak, Maureen came and,
No, I understand.
I know, like the letters are like.
He started
yeah,
it, so
needs
we're
to
going to
be
approve
talked
on
about.
it. Yeah.
The signs that we currently have do have pretty big letters, but sometimes, because I have to write some of them, there's a lot of information put in, and we use actually white duct tape to cover the old signs? Because those signs are like $90 a piece for the size that we have.
Well,
I'm just saying that just.
Yeah.
I think I want to add.
Well, I appreciate your input, but the letters need to be much bigger, and the people can.
We'll review the signs
pay
and the
more if they have to,
locations.
yeah.
The location was, they want to know, Greg, add discussion for location too on there.
I believe the location is something that the planning board has to decide, is that correct?
The code currently requires that at least one sign be placed along the frontage of wherever a project is being proposed that's the subject of a public hearing, and that the planning board has the discretion, depending on the topography and the size of the project, to require more than one sign.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the only thing, just signs then?
Bigger signs, bigger letters.
Okay, all right.
Can we take some of this 50,000 in community outreach from the...
Put a camera on it. All right, Louise, anything else?
No, that was it, thank you. Oh, no,
Okay.
we had to remind you.
Sewer. So
Yes,
we,
sewer.
yesterday, our sewer provider told us we have a problem with a crushed pipe on a 9D section. He's gonna have to make an emergency repair. He's gonna get us a quote tomorrow and probably do the work probably Friday. And it's gonna be expensive, between 50 and 75, he's guessing. So this would be an emergency repair. What would I do to get permission from the board to say, for this guy to do it?
Yeah, I mean, this is an exigent circumstances,
Yes.
correct? You know, I mean, so.
It's coming out of people's toilets.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Understood. So, my understanding would be that authorization from the board at tonight's meeting would suffice, but I could be in error about that, but.
So just you okay if I need to spend up to 100?
Yeah, do you want to explain to the people, like, why?
What happened? Do we
No,
have-
I mean, like, in why, in the past it happened, just briefly, maybe.
So the mid-90s, they built the development, what is it, Streamside Knolls? Is that where it is?
Or AVR built it.
Yeah, on Rivercrest, on that road. So there's so when they laid the pipes, it's like 15 feet down underground, and they weren't properly placed, and over the years, the rocks were on top of it and crushed them. So over the years, they kind of were able to clean them out where they kept running, and then now it's just getting clogged. And yesterday, they went 3 people's toilets it backed up into. And this is from bad planning, bad development over the years, something that we've been talking about the last 2.5 years. And developers were basically did whatever they wanted to do. Things were signed off, and we're changing that here now. So these are mistakes of the past that are coming to haunt us in the future. And that's why it's important to make sure when we take over these water and sewer districts now that they're done properly. So this project, it's so literally the backyard would be from me to that podium is where this pipe is to these people's houses, and there's beautiful pine trees that are going to come down, and it's going to cost between $50,000 and $100,000 depending on how deep it is, and there's a hill that goes right down after that. So this is something that we shouldn't have to pay for, but due to bad inspections and,
Lack of oversight.
20 years later, here it is and hitting us in the face.
And why we're now making sure that people leave bonds, or make sure that if they don't leave us like they did at 8252, high and dry, so.
Yes.
So I have a question.
If I.
Sure.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming that this is within the sewer district.
It's in the roundabout sewer district,
Yeah.
and we have the money to do it.
Right.
Well,
and
it's going to have to come out of contingency, but we have it.
But it would come out of contingency out of the sewer district funds?
Only the sewer district, only in that roundabout sewer district.
Right.
There would be no interfund transfers.
Right, because otherwise, it wouldn't be fair to other taxpayers
Absolutely
within the
correct.
town. Correct.
I just wrote up a resolution the board could adopt to authorize that.
Do I need to do a resolution?
I don't think that you do, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a resolution, because,
All right, give me a resolution.
I mean, this is a little bit new territory for me, so I apologize for that.
Read it.
Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill does hereby authorize the town supervisor to take any and all actions necessary and convenient to effect emergency repairs to town sewer infrastructure in the roundabout sewer district as identified by town water system operator Camo Pollution in an amount not to exceed $100,000, and be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective immediately.
Present that as a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You can't go wrong with having a resolution, so.
Okay.
You earned your pay raise.
Yeah, right. Next town board meeting is June 1st. There is no executive session. I make a motion for adjournment. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. 9:05, not too bad. It's a big agenda. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Y'all have that resolution in the morning.